From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, welcome everyone to World of Wonder's Wow Report on Radio Andy. You know, we normally count down the top 10 things that make us go
wow.
And we'll be doing that this week, but we're going to have a little theme.
Sure.
I love a themed episode.
I love a theme. The theme is our favorite ad campaigns of all time that made us go
wow.
Now, wait, is this our favorite, or is this just the ones that really just stuck in our craws, or really, do we hate them? Do we love them? What are
Yes.
It's a little bit of both.
Yes.
It's a little bit of both.
It's intense.
It's things, it's the ads that just...
That's wow. You can love it or you can hate it.
Right.
And James is very grumpy because he insists we did this exact show before.
Well, it did not insist that we do it at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is what time it is now.
Honey,
We're live-ish.
Live-ish. Let's start all over again. I apologize.
It's too late.
It's
That's out of the
Friday,
bag.
James. It's Friday.
You like us.
It's Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, live.
Fried day. Okay, so let's get on with the countdown. Number 10.
Number 10.
Diet Coke came out in the early 80s, and it was such a genius campaign because you thought in the early 80s that Diet Coke was perfect because you were drinking all that awful Coke and all that sugar and all those calories, and here was something with less at the beginning, less than 1 calorie, and it was all introducing Diet Coke. You're going to taste it, you're going to like it just for the taste of it. Tasted like battery acid, but they said it tasted great. And they had like every sports figure, every celebrity, every A-list, everybody was drinking the can, rubbing against their face. I love when you rub a can against your face.
Is this the one is this the Cindy Crawford one?
Well, no, Cindy Crawford did Pepsi ads.
Oh, right. Okay.
Diet Coke was it was Evander Holyfield. It was just like everybody you could ever imagine in
Because
one ad.
I'm not remembering the song. Sing it again.
Introducing Diet Coke. You're going to love it just for the taste of it. Less than 1 calorie in every serving.
Am I making it up, or had diet sodas failed until this point?
No, because Tab was huge in
But
the
Tab
70s.
was very narrow. There was a whole thing in the 70s where it was it cyclamates? There was some kind of
Yes, a saccharin, right?
Before saccharin, there was something that they thought was really bad for you that was in Tab.
Carcinogenic.
They took it out and they put in saccharin, which they later said was bad.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Diet Coke was supposed to be this miracle drink that it's like, oh my God, if I go to McDonald's, I'll order a Diet Coke and I'll make all the right choices. And we turn out, of course, we know now that Diet Coke is essentially smoke in a can.
Right.
It's like drinking a cigarette. And yet, I'm addicted. So, but my favorite, the best thing ever in 1986, which was a few years later. But we're back in the Tab thing. Sorry, Tab. They were diet sodas. They were for girls, and it was owned by Coke, but it was called Tab. So they hadn't harnessed the power of the Coke brand into a diet thing, and they were able to make it something that wasn't too embarrassing.
It was like the Virginia Slims of
Tab was.
Tab was
Virginia. And Diet Coke crossed over, and people it was smart. Like a guy, I'm walking with a big pat belly like myself would say, I think it's smart. I'm going to give myself a Diet Coke and I like to think. I know I live in a world of fantasy, but I used to think that the 1 calorie Diet Coke would surround the Big Mac and fries, and I would poop out just the 1 calorie. But that's just how I rationalize getting to be this heavy at my age. But
You know who else loved Diet Coke?
Who?
Fanatical.
Who?
Tammy Faye.
Yeah.
Tammy Faye Baker.
Well, there's something in it that definitely is
Addictive, right?
But they made it sound like so happy town. And then in 1986, maybe 85, I think 86, Whitney Houston did a ad called for Diet Coke, but she'd been sort of a doe in headlights and everything, and this was like, just for the taste of it, Diet Coke, and she was like, just for the and they had teased her hair and they shot her from below, and I loved Whitney Houston so much at that time, and that commercial was so amazing. And then it was run during the Grammy Awards when she won Grammy for Saving All My Love for You. And I was a senior in college. I was full Whitney love. And then here's the end of a long story: is a year later in Los Angeles, I've moved. My good friend now, one of my dear longest standing friends, John Tollins, who I ran into me at a party. He goes, "Hi, I'm John Tollins." I'm like, "Hi, I'm Tom Campbell." And he's like, "We've met." I'm like, and I fake it. I'm like, "Oh yes." I'm just like, I don't remember meeting you. I don't know why. I was in a very honest mood. And he's like, we met at the Harvard 350th, which is this ceremony thing. I'm like, I don't remember. Met a lot of people there. And he goes, we were standing. He told me the exact location. He goes, and you were saying that if Whitney Houston died today, based on her Diet Coke commercial alone, she would surpass Ella Fitzgerald in the annals of singers. And I shook my head and I said, I've had that conversation with so many people. I cannot.
Wait, you honestly believe that? Wait.
At the time, I was very revved up. I loved
But
Whitney
you honestly
so much.
believe that Diet Coke commercial would surpass Ella Fitzgerald?
Plus the saving on my love for you. I thought she showed everything. So I bought into the whole Coke thing. I try not to drink it now. I've given up. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol, all that kind of stuff. A Diet Coke is like going out back.
It's like crack for you.
And smoking a cigarette and blowing it away so the kids don't hear it. So thank you, Diet Coke, just for the taste of it.
Thank you, Whitney, right?
Thank you, Whitney.
I guess. James, number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9. This is one of those things where it's an example of the Mandela effect, where I believe that I'm from an alternate universe, that I'm from a parallel timeline, because I remember these 2 commercials like they were yesterday, and not one person on the planet remembers them. I cannot find them on YouTube. I cannot Google them. They don't exist. The first one is, it's like an AT&T or an Apple or something, and it's an old man, an old businessman. He's like a CEO. Do you remember that? Okay. And
I'm trying to. I want to remember this so badly for you.
Okay, the secretary comes in and he says, "Where are the files? Where are the files?" And she says, "Sir, I emailed them to you." And he says, "Email? I don't look at my email. I don't know email. Would Shakespeare use email?" And she said, "He would if he was around now." And it was one of those commercials that was to try to get old people to do their...
Good morning.
Beep, beep, beep. We have a winner. James St. James. He remembers it, and Blake remembers it too. So it's one of those, and it was trying to get old people to do emails and to be part of the modern world. Okay?
Maybe it was AOL.
Maybe it could have been AOL, but okay. Here's another one.
It was AARP.
Possibly. Here's another one, and it's like in Trafalgar Square or it's in Red Square, and it's a guy covered in pigeons, and you think that he's crazy, and he's shouting out at a cloud, and he's going, "No, more or less, buy, sell, no, what are you doing? No, stop!" And you think that it's this crazy person, and then the camera swoops around, and you see he's got a Bluetooth and an app, like a Google Glass, and he's buying and selling stocks, and he's like this young tech person, but you think that the tagline is, "It hasn't happened yet, but it's about to." And it was like before Google Glass came out and before people had Bluetooth and all this stuff. And it was talking about how like this is the new technology coming from AT&T. Not one person on the planet remembers this. And I've tried YouTubing it. I've tried Googling it. Nothing.
I'm drawing a blank. Beautifully described. I mean, let's go shoot them and just sell something.
Imagine a world where no one remembers the Beatles. This is your... What's the name of that movie?
Yes,
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Your Yesterday.
I'm living yesterday. I am.
Imagine a world where no one remembers.
Neither one of you were... No,
AT&T.
those didn't bring...
But it's interesting.
Bring any bells.
Because they're completely plausible. I mean, I expected some strange, mad thing that would betray this as a hallucination while you're in a
It was like a big K-hole.
The pink elephant came to my house and said...
They sort of... the last one sounds like Santana or Santor, HSBC. You know, one of those sort of banking conglomerates.
Yes. Yes.
Well, so this is really a cry for help to the 30 or 40 people who listen to us every week. If they have seen this,
please get into contact with
and
me.
Russia, if you're listening, maybe you can find the
emails.
And it's one of those. It's like I believe it's like I'm a 12 Monkeys. Like I'm from another from the future or something like that. And I'm in a madhouse. I'm in the nut house right now, but screaming. Why doesn't anybody remember?
Could it be you think that maybe you saw one of those like TV shows? They used to be more popular where it was like craziest European commercials, and you just saw it on there. Or something?
That's a good thought. Are you taking Ambien to sleep?
Yeah.
Yes? Is the answer yes?
I'm taking K to sleep is what I'm doing.
No, you're not.
I wish we could harness this genius of writing ads in the middle of the night in a drug-induced stupor. I think
James St. Madison Avenue, James.
Madman James St. James.
Yes.
That Shakespeare commercial kind of sounds like you who never answers their emails.
All right.
The call's coming from inside that.
We can't post the links to those ads. We will as soon as they're identified and we find them.
Please help James.
No, but if you do know the answer to, if you've seen these commercials, leave it in the comments on our YouTube.
Please,
Exactly.
yes.
Number 8,
Number 8.
Burger King.
Okay.
It was a 1982 videotape of Andy Warhol eating a burger.
The Serge Luton's ad, right?
That's right.
Which is also at the Whitney, or was at the Whitney
It
recently.
was indeed at the Whitney. That's right. It actually, the interesting thing is it wasn't made for an ad. You know, it was originally a documentary, part of a documentary called 66 Scenes from America. And it came out in 1982 by a Danish documentary filmmaker called Jørgen Leth. Yeah.
Jorgen.
And it was 66 scenes from America, and one of those sequences was Andy eating a hamburger, and it lasts about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Burger King, having acquired the rights, they cut it down to 45 seconds. And it's just Andy sitting at a table. He puts down the bag. He opens the. Well, we'll just post the link and you can look at it.
I thought it was a Japanese commercial, and it was Serge Luton's. It's not. It was. I'm completely mistaken.
You are.
I'm from another timeline again.
This is actually Jørgen Leth, a Danish experimental documentary filmmaker whose 1982 film 66 Scenes from America. And
was he friends with Warhol?
He was just making this film about American life. And what's interesting about the scene is that he was worried that Warhol wouldn't eat a branded burger. So when he was getting ready to shoot the scene, he sent out and had 2 burgers completely plainly wrapped in plain bags, and one from Burger King. Andy Warhol came on set and was like, "Where's McDonald's?" Because he was like, McDonald's is much prettier. He preferred the design of McDonald's, rightly so, because Burger King's design's always been a bit.
Too many browns.
Although the bacon double cheeseburger is quite good, but they
Drink it with
they
the
were
Diet Coke. It's only 1 calorie.
They were going to go out. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
they were going to go out to get McDonald's, and he said, "Oh, this is a waste of time. I'll just eat the Burger King." So that's how Burger King got their ad. He just gave in and ate the Burger King because he wouldn't. The last thing he would do, he refused to eat the unbranded burgers.
I love
You see?
Mm-hmm. Now, it's so funny because you said it wasn't an ad, but it is now. And it reminds me of a moment from Lily Tomlin's Search for Intelligent Life in the Universe, where she's the crazy homeless lady talking to herself, and she's talking to the aliens, and she holds up in pantomime like Campbell's soup can, and Campbell's soup, she's like, "This is art, this is soup. This is art, this is soup," trying to understand the difference between a Warhol and a can of soup. Somehow it
And they
reminded me of
never. Yeah. He just loved it.
Well, what was the Burger King? Was it just him eating a burger?
Oh.
Was there any tagline or
Buried
anything?
the headline. It's a single locked off shot. It is the most simple, and that's the irony, I guess, of it being in the Super Bowl, where they spend billions on virtual reality and extraordinary special effects and enormous epic production scale. And this is just a single shot of Andy just sitting there eating a burger.
And it's interesting. I do remember now because afterwards it was on a lot of blogs and everything, and it was like this generation was like, Andy Warhol did a Burger King commercial, and people were just sort of floored that this actually existed, and we all knew about this.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
but it was interesting that it opened up a whole new generation to Andy Warhol.
It did. It
Yes.
did. I mean, I think a lot of people also had no idea who that
Right, exactly.
strange person
There's
was.
it is on my Instagram.
Yeah.
that I did in fast motion. I always thought it was a Heinz ketchup.
And he was sort of cute still then, wasn't he?
I think the fright wig was a really sexy.
He had a nice, cute little face in the 60s. Yeah, he did.
Well, but that was in the 1982, James.
Was
was
it?
shot in
See, but he was still
1982.
cute
Yeah,
then.
he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And what year did he die? 87?
87, yeah.
February
5
87.
years for his death. Okay, let's take a quick break. You have a trivia question?
I do.
Oh.
In 2014, Felix Baumgartner made a record-breaking leap above the upper atmosphere and made it safely to ground without any harm done.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, it's.
What company paid for the stunt?
Oh. You know, don't you?
I think so.
I think I know. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. We'll be right back after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. We are counting down the top 10 ad campaigns that made us go
Wow. Of all time.
I'm Fenton. I'm here with Tom and James and Blake.
Hi.
What was the question?
In 2014, Felix Baumgartner made a record-breaking leap.
He was very cute, if I remember. Felix Baumgartner was hot, hot, hot.
Well, he made a breaking leap above the upper atmosphere and made it safely to ground without any harm done. What company paid for the stunt?
One word, 2 syllables. First syllable sounds like head. Am I right?
Bed. Serta's Beds.
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
But Red Bull's not one word, is it?
It is now.
Is it a Red Bull or is it Red Bull?
Blake?
It's 2 words, Red Bull.
All right. I'm sorry.
Oh, well.
Still got it right.
But I stand by Felix. Felix was hot, hot, hot. I wish we could pull up a picture of him.
You are missing out if you're not with... Well, you know what happened to me last night?
What?
Okay, so I went to a dispensary for my first time.
And
I
God.
tried a sleeping. I thought this is going to be a good sleep aid.
What are you
Big
doing?
mistake.
That's
I
it.
ate an edible sleep aid. I
remember you talked about
Pardon
edibles
my
before.
French, because Fenton is fucked up today.
I feel like I am wrapped in cotton wool at the bottom of a swimming pool.
When did you become a pothead? I remember this.
I just thought pot is legal now. I should just go do what the kids do. Go to the dispensary.
Well, what, did it not help you sleep? I would think that it helped you.
I kept on waking up. I gotta get to a show. We're doing the radio show. And the room was spinning. I was like, oh God, I hope this wears off for the radio show.
You drove!
Otherwise, they're gonna have to call in sick or something.
Did you take it orally?
Yeah, it's a gummy.
Just making
As
sure.
opposed to
How else would
injecting
you
your
take it?
gummies?
There's always an anal option, as we say on Drag Race. There's always an anal option.
It certainly knocked me out. But anyway, it says here.
All right, we'll handle you much, Hey,
Gently.
buddy. Hey, buddy.
Oh
You
my
okay,
God,
buddy?
I couldn't find
You want
my-
You
some
should go to
water,
the tent.
buddy?
Let's take you over to the tent.
Yeah,
the freak out
buddy.
tent.
I couldn't park my car in the parking lot. I had to do it 5 times before I could get between them.
Don't you have like a
on the
self
road?
parking?
Oh my
You are a
God.
little bit of a rogue driver to begin with, no offense.
I've driven with them before too.
Oh gosh, guys! I got a speeding ticket too the other day on Highland. Well, Highland, going to the gym at 6 a.m. Just open it up. The
Yeah,
road is ahead
yeah.
of you, and so was a cop. So,
They have been around lately everywhere. I've been seeing.
but those are 2 separate incidents.
Yeah. You weren't high when you got arrested.
Absolutely.
Hopefully not.
Legally.
I'm not high now. It's like when you take NyQuil and you wake up and you're a bit groggy.
No, I don't use NyQuil as a drug. No, I don't.
Okay. Okay, we're counting down top 10 advertising campaigns that really got us excited. What was number 7?
Number 7.
In the 70s, you can back me up on this. I don't know if this played over in the UK, but there were perfume commercials with songs that changed my life. I will name 3 of them, but the number 1 is one. But there's a fragrance that's here today, and they call it Charlie.
Oh,
Kind
Charlie,
of hip,
yeah,
kind of
I
now,
know.
Charlie. And it was Shelley Hack, who was
Yes.
a beautiful model, very preppy, very sort of Boston jawed, and Bobby Short, right, the piano player. And
Yeah,
he was,
yeah.
"There's a fragrance," and it was just so classy. And it was kind of around the Gatsby movie time, so it was very.
What does Boston jawed mean?
I don't know. She just seemed very kind of patrician, and I don't know. I made that up.
Thurston
Red Bull
Howell,
is
yeah.
one word, and Boston jawed is a way to describe Shelley Hack.
Lockjaw.
Okay.
Lockjaw, yes.
Yeah.
Which is very beautiful.
Thurston Howell.
And it was kind of a cheap perfume, and I didn't know it. And I bought it for my mom for Christmas because there's a fragrance that's here today. And she was just a girl who was on the go and came out of a car.
She had a great pantsuit on. if I
Yes, like sort
recall.
of cream. And
High-waisted.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And she would walk into the club and throw somebody her hat, and she was there. She was Charlie, and that was so hot.
Well, wait. Can I tell you? Can I put in one too?
Please.
And I hope this is one of yours.
Uh-huh.
The Angelique.
That was the next
Oh,
one.
good. Okay.
Which is a song that Peggy Lee did, but I didn't know at the time. It was like, I can bring home the bacon,
Bacon.
bum, 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 fry it up in a pan, and never let you forget
you're the man.
forget you're a man, because I'm a woman, Angelique. And it was sort of a woman peeling off her glasses, letting down her hair, taking off her apron.
She was coming home from work, and she
but
was ready to be a
could bring
woman.
home the fry it up in a pan. And never let you forget you're a man. And that, again, was about as sexy and Vegas-y as anything that happened in my house. And then my favorite, which was on for a very brief time, and you can watch it on YouTube, and it stars Lola Falana, who is the forgotten artist of our time.
What a woman!
You might want to say she was the Black Joey Heatherton, but that
I was
going to
say yes, her and Joey.
Yes, they were like these. They were kind of born too late. Like they were like these Vegas song dance mistresses that kind of came just at the end of the variety show. Sex kittens. And she was in a tiger painted bodysuit, and she goes, I was sitting, and she was like a tiger, and she had her hair is bouffant, and she had stripes in it. She was animally, and her eyes are beautiful, and she's a beautiful African American woman. She goes, I was sitting in the tall grass, just watching the world pass, and I started walking, and they started stalking. Here comes the tigress. Here comes the tigress. Tigress go alone because men are such animals. And it was like a Gauguin. It was like a Gauguin painting come to life. And it was all like African American men and boys and tight butted like things. Oh, you're gonna love it. I'm gonna play it for you.
Was it for cologne or?
Yes, Tigress cologne because men are such. It was for men. Tigress cologne because no, it's for women. Tigress cologne because men are such animals. I was sitting in the tall grass, just watching the world pass, and I started walking, and they started stalking. Here comes the tigress.
Remember this
Here
one?
comes
And I was the biggest
tigress.
Lola Falana fan on the planet.
Tigress cologne because men are such animals. They just, and I love, yeah.
I fell into a Joey Heatherton Serta hole the other day where she was doing all the mattress commercials.
Yes.
And then she was like go-go dancing on the mattress. Oh, she's
Buy a
good.
perfect sleeper by Serta. They sold mattresses with sex. She'd be like in a bodysuit, and she had this is Joey Heatherton with little like punky, spiky blonde hair, and it was all like her just being
Gamine. She
Yes.
was a gamine.
The other thing they did was Muriel cigarettes used to have a lot of sexy. Let Muriel light your life.
The 70s were just sexy.
That is my desire, Muriel. Because where there's Muriel smoke, there's fire. Ba-doo, ba-doom, doom, doo, doo, doom. Pow!
I'm on.
How many fingers do I have up?
Did you have batted ass here in the States? Batted ass.
No.
And the tagline was, things happen after a batted ass bath. There's a sort of woman in a towel lurking by a window. And I was always taking batted ass baths, hoping things would happen.
He was pruned. He was all just wet and pruned.
Nothing did. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Number 6 is another 70s thing, because I was much younger than you were in the 70s, if I recall.
Yes. Funny how you've caught up.
Silly Rabbit Tricks Are for Kids.
Silly rabbit.
Silly Rabbit Tricks Are for Kids. And it was a Saturday morning commercial, and the rabbit was after the tricks, and the rabbit they would never let the rabbit have the tricks.
Why?
And it was so frustrating.
Yes.
It was very frustrating to me as a child because I wanted the rabbit to have the tricks.
We all did.
In fact, there was a poll that was taken in the late 70s, I believe, in which they asked the children if they wanted the rabbit to have the kids, and they were going to let the rabbit have the kids.
Trix.
And the Trix company was going to let the rabbit have the kid.
Trix.
The Trix company was going to let the rabbit have the tricks.
Correct.
Right. Okay. But then they never did. They ended up at the last minute stealing the tricks away from the rabbit once again. And it was.
Well, did the kids vote for it?
The kids voted for it. They wanted overwhelmingly the children wanted the rabbit to get.
And it was the
trick.
beginning of Reaganomics. No, I'm kidding.
But it was
I can't connect them.
But they were saying at the same time this happened in the 60s is when they first started coming out with the commercials. They opened up the door for Charlie Tuna, and Charlie Tuna was never allowed to have the tuna.
Yes.
If you remember.
Well, Charlie was the tuna, wasn't he?
No, he was a tuna with good taste, but they wanted tuna that tasted good.
That's cannibalism.
He wanted to be captured by Sunkist. A hook would come down. They'd be like, "Sorry, Charlie,"
Because he wasn't. Yeah, he was
wasn't
a tuna.
tasty enough.
They wanted tunas that tasted good and he said
I
that
see.
he was a tuna that had good taste, and he would always be painting a painting saying, "Look, I have good taste." And they would say, "No, Charlie, we want tunas that taste good, not tunas with good taste." And so he was never allowed to be a tuna that was eaten.
Sorry, Charlie.
Then there was also, if you remember, Fruity Pebbles, in which Barney would never let Fred have the pebbles, and he would always do some elaborate prank on Fred and he'd be
Running away, yeah.
So he'd run away with the Fruity Pebbles, and Fred would always be chasing him. There was
So
also,
they were creating a sense of scarcity to make us want to buy it or something.
Well, no, but it was just
trying so hard.
that we were always being thwarted. We were just as children, we were just always being thwarted. There was the Hamburglar, there was the Lucky Charms, the Leprechaun for Lucky Charms. These mascots never got what they wanted, and it takes me back to a trauma that I had with Sesame Street. And I know that we've talked about this before in this alternate timeline of mine. mind.
Yeah, we had a top 10 countdown about it.
Well, that was the top 10. It was the traumas of James. But the Snuffleupagus, and how nobody ever saw the Snuffleupagus on Sesame Street except for Big Bird. And Big Bird would always run saying, I've seen the Snuffleupagus. And everyone would be like, there's no such thing as the Snuffleupagus. And the minute they would turn their backs, the Snuffleupagus would come out. And he'd be like, there it is. And then the children would all turn around and the Snuffleupagus would be gone again. And it turned out that Sesame Street ended up having to have the kids see the Snuffleupagus because children who had been abused nobody ever believed them. And they would say, my parents are abusing me, blah, blah, blah. And the adults would never believe them. And it was a big trauma for children at the time. So that Sesame Street recognized that the children who were being abused were being traumatized by nobody seeing the Snuffleupagus. And so they had to let the children see the Snuffleupagus so that we would believe the children. Because people weren't believing the children. So it was like one of those traumas for me that I was like, let the rabbit have the tricks. Let the leprechaun get the Lucky Charms. Like, why is this not happening? And still to this day, it upsets me.
Wow. And then I want my MTV.
Which
that generation of deprived of their tricks.
Well, which I've learned in my research about this, that I Want My MTV is actually a throwback to the 1950s. I Want My Maypo. It was a big commercial.
Oh.
And so when they were saying I Want My MTV, it was a play on that famous commercial.
Let Go My Maypo was one of the things. Let Go My Ego. Let Go My Ego.
Yeah, but no, Maypo.
I Want My Maypo. You're right.
Maypo is oatmeal?
Yeah.
Okay, and Eggos are waffles.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Oh,
right.
You're learning. You're learning about America.
What's this called?
Eyes, ears, nose, mouth.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Apple. I can't believe you guys haven't talked about Apple campaigns because
I did, but it was an alternate apple.
Okay. Well,
It's a pear.
I was actually, in my confused state, I was thinking that the campaign I was looking for was called Think Different, right?
Right.
The Think Different campaign is not to be confused with the 1984 campaign.
Totally different.
Right. So I was going to
Oh,
start...
is it the 1984? Okay, I know this one.
All right.
Oh.
Right. So the 1984 came out in 1984. This was the one I really meant. This guy, this multimillionaire, bought London Bridge.
Yes.
And he had it shipped to Texas.
And it was the wrong bridge.
And he'd bought the wrong effing bridge because he
Yes.
wanted the bridge with the towers on it, which is called Tower Bridge, not London Bridge. Well, this is my experience.
Wait, someone bought London Bridge?
Yes.
The one that fell down?
No, they dismantled it. Yes, that one. They dismantled it, shipped it to Texas, reassembled it. He's like,
It's been around since the 16th century?
That's not the bridge. It was Tower Bridge that he wanted to buy. Yes.
From the Fergie song.
But London Bridge is falling. London Bridge is not very impressive. It's Tower Bridge is the one. Anyway, this is a diversion.
Where are we going with it?
I tell you exactly.
How
where.
does this have to do with Apple?
I was researching Think Different, thinking it was the 1984 commercial.
Right.
So I'm going to end up really talking about
Wait a minute.
2 commercials by Apple. 1984, which was the original one that came out in 1984.
Which aired once during the
Yes.
Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Is that the one with the giant
Giant
1984
screen,
Orwellian? Yes.
Orwellian
Yes.
dictator-type mumbling, we shall overcome, we are one unity, and a single player in color. Everybody else is there in black and white zombies watching the giant screen, and a single Olympian-type person comes in with a hammer running. She runs, she throws the hammer, explodes the screen. I think a really interesting message, because I think that the whole idea was like that Apple was counterculture and it was rebellion, and yet, ironically, Apple has become the big brother, big screen.
For sure.
We all use our Apple devices, and in that respect, I think we don't think different. Actually, I think we all think the same, because I think the device you use changes the way you think.
Well, I mean, that's that thing
Influences
that
it.
every
Yeah.
counterculture becomes the culture eventually, and every 60s radical ends up becoming the...
But it's just ironic, isn't it, that their whole marketing has been based on this idea of rebellion and of iconoclasm when they've ultimately become...
Right.
I mean...
Was there a tagline to that 1984 ad?
Oh, yes, a very good question there was. And
All
I'll
right.
read it to you because it's absolutely fantastic. What does it say? Oh, that's right. So on January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh, and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. So the tagline makes it all make sense. And then right after that, Apple sales spiked.
Yes.
They sold shed loads of...
Yes, and it aired once. That's the crazy thing. And again,
Yeah.
it shifted, it put their brand on the market,
Yeah.
it shifted perception. It is a remarkable.
And this was before like the internet where you saw the commercial over and over again.
Exactly. And then, of course, the one that I thought I was researching is the Think Different campaign, which is completely different. This was in 1997.
Yep.
And the interesting situation was that Apple was hemorrhaging cash. They had no new products. So they just created this campaign. It wasn't selling anything. It was just a brand consciousness raising exercise that worked brilliantly.
Yeah. And that was like they had like Einstein, wasn't it? Connected with different individuals.
Einstein, Thomas Edison, Muhammad Ali. And Apple were doing really, really badly at the time. In fact, someone said they did a campaign with a bunch of dead celebrities because they'll be dead soon too. Because everyone thought Apple was going to fail.
We should do one with Joey Heatherton, Think Different. Lola Falana, Think Different.
Is Joey still around?
I believe she is.
And you know what the impact of that ad was? That stock price tripled within 12 months. Just leave you with that.
Less than the cost of a latte? Think different. You know, marketing can change everything.
Right. How is Joey still? What does she live on? Where does her money come from?
I don't know. I know that,
she's got to be old.
Joey has the very, she, years and years and years ago, she lives, I think, in a building across from the Four Seasons on Doheny. And she was married to a football player who was arrested for, I believe, pedophilia. And yeah. But I have a friend who saw her at the pharmacy.
Wouldn't it be interesting if she and Lola were like roomies and they were like...
I think Lola, and I could be totally wrong, but is suffering from something like MS or something.
Do you know
why? Why do I say these things out loud when I don't know? Why do I say them out loud on the radio?
Do you know why they came up with the line "Think Different"?
Oh, hey, Fenton.
Hey, Fenton, what's going on?
Why did they come up with the line "Think Different"? Come on.
What are we talking about, Fenton?
Because they wanted to turn a adjective into an adverb.
No, because at the time IBM's tagline was "Think IBM."
Very direct, very targeted.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we should take a break.
A long break.
We might be back. Blake, have you got a question?
Months and months and months.
I do have a question. What internet behemoth started as a dating website on Valentine's Day 2005 and sold to Google a year and a half later for $1.65 billion?
What year? 1985?
05.
1905?
2005.
Okay, you're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. We'll be right back.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report on Radio Andy. I'm Fenton. I'm here with Tom and James and Blake, and we've been having a grand old time counting down the top 10
ads
of
campaigns
of all time.
Yeah.
Well,
made us go,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a question, Blake.
I did. What internet behemoth started as a dating website on Valentine's Day 05 and sold to Google a year and a half later for $1.65 billion?
I'm completely having a blank about this.
Maybe it was YouTube.
Match.com.
Match.com? I believe.
YouTube. It actually started as people could upload videos like,
In
video dating.
2005?
And then they had to pivot.
And then they pivoted, yeah. And
But we couldn't upload videos in 2005.
Yes, you could. In fact, this is an interesting
was
little
blogging
detail.
in 2005.
We were actually developing and had hired, it's a sore point, we hired software developers to write a program like YouTube, and the whole
Wow
idea was,
TV.
in a world of 500 channels, why not 50 million? That was the...
You're ahead of your time.
This was Wow TV,
and then
right?
slightly
Well,
behind. Ahead and then fell
And then
slightly
when
behind.
YouTube launched, we never launched it. It never got past testing.
I
But
remember that.
But I remember trying to upload videos on the blog in 2004 and 2005, 2006, and it was just
well, YouTube at
impossible.
first didn't really work at first, did it?
No, that's what I'm saying.
would
It wasn't until
stutter
like
and-
2007 that we were able to actually...
Back to the ads. Number 4.
Number 4.
I grew up watching television, as you can tell by this conversation. I loved everything about television. I was, we had, in 1976, not only did we get our first color TV, we got cable. But until that point, we had ABC, CBS, NBC, PBS. That was it. And in the 70s, ABC was the young person's network because it was Bewitched, That Girl, Mod Squad.
In the 70s?
Yeah. It was the young people. It was like, CBS was like Barnaby Jones and Cannon and 60 Minutes and Gunsmoke, and NBC was kind of a wreck with Emergency and just.
Emergency was fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
I had such a crush on him, the blonde one.
All right, I thought it was a little slow moving, but I look forward every year.
Because remember Julie London was on that?
Yes,
she was so beautiful.
But she was a little past her prime, I thought. Anyway, I learned since. I used to watch that with our friends. Anyway, in the fall, but now we have programmings. We have a million channels. They premiere all year round, but it used to be the fall lineup. And ABC, better than any other network, would create sort of like a network campaign to let you know that the songs are coming. And ABC, because of Jiggle TV, because of Charlie's Angels and Three's Company, and they were just number one. Love Boat.
What was the one with Ann Jillian where they were all waitresses?
It's a living. And so they use the song "Still the One." I want to make you in bed. You're still having fun, and you're still the one. So they adopted that song as the network theme song, and then they would. Again, I'm such a geek, but they would clearly have a promo day, which I would know now, and all of the people, so it'd be like Tony Danza from Taxi next to Ann Jillian going, "Still the one," and they'd have like big ones and sets, and I just thought that was the most joyous celebration of my ABC family ever. You don't remember those?
No, I totally remember those. Now that you're mentioning it,
Yeah.
I totally remember it. And I remember because that was the year that there was a spin-off from Happy Days, and it was
Laverne Shirley?
Blansky's Beauty.
Blansky's Beauties.
Yes, and they were all Vegas showgirls or something. Yes, and was it Pat Morita? Was Mr.
I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't remember? Did they have those in England? The BBC have those?
Yeah, they have seasons and like a sort of reskinning and a whole promotional campaign.
But they would still do. And ABC had been the third network forever and ever and ever. And in the 70s with Jiggle TV, with Fred Silverman, with Nipples and Charlie's Angels and Three's Company. Even Too Close for Comfort with Jim J. Bullock.
Yeah.
But it was about those two daughters. It was,
with the Landers girl was one of them, right?
No. It was Lydia Cornell and Deborah Von Falkenberg. I know a lot of stuff.
So we'll post some of these promos on the Wow Report, right?
And who was the one? She did a lot of
Nancy Dussault.
I love Nancy Dussault.
You know, Bravo used to kind of do this. Like, they haven't done it in a while,
Yes.
but a couple of years ago in the summer, they would
Yes.
have like all the housewives from...
That's a throwback to that thing.
James, what campaign at number 3 made you go, wow?
Number 3.
Do 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 la la. Mentos better, fresh goes better. Mentos freshness with freshness full and full of life, or something like that.
I didn't get it from the melody. I did get it from the word Mentos. I understood it was the Mentos. Those are weird commercials.
Those are very strange commercials. And I was reading a history, the bizarre history of those 90s Mentos commercials.
Yes.
And it was a man...
they seem like Danish or something.
Yeah, they were very Ace of Base.
Well, they were beginning in 1992. The Netherlands-based confectioners came up with the Fresh Goes Better, and they started doing these commercials that were very odd. And it was they were known for their hammy acting, for the general sense that the ads were trying to approximate American culture rather than actually be a part of it.
Totally,
sort of like a robot mimicking emotions of the human counterparts. It was an ad company called Panic and Partners out of Hamburg that conceptualized the spot, and it was usually there would be a group of people, a group of good-looking young people,
yes.
and they came across a problem, and the only way to solve the problem was to pop the Mentos, and then you got inspiration, and it would be like he was a waiter, and he wasn't getting his food in time, so he put the waiter outfit on and was with the waiter himself after he popped the Mentos, or there was like a car that stopped and they couldn't get across the street, and so they went through the car, and the guy driving the car was like, what? And so
I also remember another one where the car couldn't move, so the big buff guy like picked it up and moved it.
Probably.
After a Mentos.
There was dozens and dozens of these commercials. The ads seemed disconnected from actual human behavior, and the song itself was critiqued for appearing to be an English translation that didn't quite get the lyrics right. It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better with life, and it like sort of makes no sense or anything like that.
So it was deliberate.
It wasn't deliberate, but once they realized what was doing it, they sort of played off of that.
Right.
and people either hated them or they loved them. In fact, the Foo Fighters famously did a music video where they did the Mentos.
Wouldn't they hold them up and it would look like a middle finger or something like Mentos? Am I crazy about that?
Probably. I mean, there was just they were just very, very off and bizarre. And the people, they looked like they weren't. It looked
like Bel Ami porn.
Yes, but they were sort of like in the
Good
90s.
looking, but no one I've met.
On Saturday Night Live, there were the two guys. There was the
I Want to Pump You Up.
The
Roxbury guys.
And then the Roxbury guys, yes. I think that was sort of a riff on it. On Family Guy, they have these two blonde guys. I don't know if you watch, and they always talk like they don't quite understand English.
I vaguely remember that.
Are Mentos then, so they're not an American candy?
No. Like I
Danish?
said, they were Danish, and they weren't doing well at all, and they had flatlined, and so that's when they came up with these.
What I remember about the thing I enjoy about a Mentos, what's coming in sensory, was the mouthfeel, because they were in that loose packaging. They were round and chewy, and you would eat them.
And you could pop
You would put
them,
it into your mouth, and you would take one, and you would take the other one with your teeth. And
then you got inspiration, and you were inspired to solve a problem.
And then I picked up a car once. And then I went and I bought edible sleeping aids for Fenton, and I forced him to eat them. We really should start every segment by reminding people that Fenton is tripping right now.
Fenton is tripping balls. Do. Wah wah. Mentos goes better. Fresh goes better.
So surreal. Number 2.
Number 2.
Progressive.
Insurance?
They're all around you, these Progressive ads. Have you seen them? I mean, you must have seen them.
Wait, are we talking Flo?
Flo.
But they've kept Flo, and yet they built a whole new world around Flo.
Flo is a whole rounded out character with a family and relatives. In fact, after I think several years of doing the campaign, I think for her 100th anniversary, for her 100th ad, they introduced us to her brother, her sister,
and she played
her grandmother,
and
she played. Yes, that's right. She played.
And the
all
sister
of
is
them.
a slacker, and the aunt.
We
had her in the
love
office
the
like
sister.
10 years ago. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
Because we were obsessed with her, and we wanted her on Drag Race and stuff, and she's kind of like, I can't. My soul belongs to Progressive.
What's the feeling? What do you feel? I mean, because I feel that they're not brilliant in the sense that they're ubiquitous, they're all around you.
Yes.
But you don't really quite notice them. Like, it's not like Apple, which was such a statement.
Well,
campaign.
I'll tell you what. I have a feeling because the Geico ads really are very brilliant, and there's the Geico lizard and the Geico cavemen and the Geico squirrels, and there's like dozens and dozens of these different characters, and I think that they were trying to compete with Geico when they came up with Flo, and it does. It's funny because she's managed to last, and yet they don't really.
And they're very meta.
Yeah,
but
they aren't. They aren't. You're right. They aren't really brilliant.
Is that genius to be just a little bit off, so that you don't get sick of it? It's almost
exactly right. They're always there. You're always being reminded of brand awareness, but you're not annoyed by them.
But you aren't threatening to the yahoos in Middle America.
Right, exactly.
You know, because sometimes some things are so
if
meta
it's too meta and
crazy,
too clever, it's elitist and it's giving the finger to the
and this is
stupid
something
people.
that is just
Some
clever
of my best
enough.
friends are yahoos in Middle America.
And
we can tell.
Because also I was sort of kind of like looking at these ads and thinking, well, what actually is progressive? Because I was like, and they were like saying that they came up with this whole campaign. Flo began as a cashier in a superstore. And they created this superstore. The words of the marketing guy was to make the intangible tangible, because what Progressive does is it sells insurance. And so they created this sense that you go to a store and there's a super friendly, super helpful person there to help you. Because, of course,
And
that
she'll
isn't
knock
the
down
way.
the price. And
Right, that isn't the way you buy
it's like a
insurance.
Walmart.
It's just on the phone. Yes, they kind of localized it or physicalized it.
But now, have you noticed they all have brought in the new character of the really annoying guy with the red hair?
Yeah.
I don't like him. I don't. I'm not there with him. Remember, and then he has a wife now, and he's like sings when he has this great party. Remember this one? Have you know this one?
I just remember the one where he sees his mom. Never mind.
No, I yes. But I'm having now a memory of every character from the 70s, like Rosie, the Quicker Picker Upper Bounty, Mr. Whipple, Please Don't Squeeze the
Mr.
Charmin,
Whipple, right.
and how those characters are so. What was it, Mrs. Olsen with Folger's Coffee, and how, it's kind of brilliant that they've kept
Mrs. Olsen for Folger's Coffees. That was the Wicked Witch of the West.
Margaret Mitchell.
There
I
was
think she did.
no
the
Margaret
same thing.
Hamilton.
Hamilton, right?
Well, I think it's remarkable that Flo is still going.
Yes,
because
that they kept her.
I mean, how many years has it been?
Where's the Beef Lady was only on the air for like
Well,
less than a year.
Time to make
she-
the donuts guy was, he was 10 years, but I think Rosie was around for 30 years probably. And Mr. Whipple was around for 20 or 30 years.
Mr. Clean.
Again, you could please don't squeeze the Charmin. Another word you couldn't get it.
And poor Mr. He was always trying to squeeze the Charming, and even
I-
nobody would ever let him.
I think there's a movie idea here where you take all the retired characters. So
They
like-
were never
it's
able
like
to
a
get
Toy-
what they want, and you give it to them.
Make a Toy Story for the sort
can't always
of
get
obsolete
what you
spokespeople.
want.
Yes, that'll be the song.
They're all in a sort of limbo land where they've been retired and they've got sort of
Maybe
get
it's a
back
game
together.
show. Maybe it's like a reality show where we put them all in a house and let them have the things that they want, and then
Right. Well, they're all dead. Except for Flo.
How many years do we know has the Flo campaign?
Flo's started in 2008.
It seems longer than that.
it does seem longer.
Well, they
doesn't
have
it?
so many. I mean, I think they've done something like 200 ads at this point. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll reveal the number one ad campaign that made us go, wow. You listen to Wow Report on Radio Anti Sirius XM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm here with James St. James, Tom Campbell, and Blake Jacobs. We've reached the number one spot.
Did you just go somewhere else? Is that what happened?
He's been traveling. He's been mind traveling this entire
I've
show.
been in your alternate universe watching those
He comes
commercials.
down and lands and is right with us, but in the meantime, he's hovering above.
It's like he's
like
got a balloon that's just floating away.
He's like a spider leaving his web, sort of coming down on a little thread and popping back up to the web. Am I right?
Yes.
I have no idea what number one is. Someone have
Number
trouble.
one.
No, you do.
You
This
do.
is you. This is all you, baby. This is you telling the story.
It is
Number one.
Teach the World to Sing.
Yes, you know all about this. Go.
I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Do-do-do-do.
Grow apple trees and honey bees.
So tell us the story about this.
White turtle doves.
It's the real thing.
I wish I'd come to the meeting before this because I don't know
You totally do.
anything.
It was.
I remember watching it as a kid, and I remember them parodying it on Mad Men's finale.
No, it wasn't a
Very
parody. They
good.
said on the Mad Men's finale, they said that he was the one who came up with it. Remember, because he was at the chakra or whatever. And he was at the.
Here's what I know. The original idea came to Bill Backer, an advertising executive working for McCann Erickson.
who was the
the Coca-Cola agency.
Maybe he was the model for Don Draper.
Really? Oh, okay. So Bill, Roger Cook, who's a composer, and Billy Davis, I don't know who he is, were delayed at Shannon Airport in Ireland. And after a forced layover with many hot tempers, they noticed their fellow travelers the next morning were talking and joking while drinking Coca-Cola. Backer wrote the line, "I'd like to buy the world a Coke," on a napkin and shared it with British hit songwriters, aforementioned Roger Cook and Roger Greenaway. And guess what song they wrote?
They wrote "To Sir with Love."
A Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress.
Oh, that's a good song.
Yeah, and also the Gene Pitney hit, Something's Got a Hold of Me.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, it was a great commercial. It's called the Hilltop commercial because
Yes.
it's diverse young people gathering on a hill.
The
and-
hippie
And it was
movement
the beginning,
capturing.
the beginning of the hippie movement, the beginning
Right.
of the Flower Children.
And amazing to me, actually, looking back on it, to think how unironic it was. Completely absence of any meta, no cynicism, completely innocent, sweet, sunlight in their hair,
well,
flowers.
that's what the hippies were in the beginning. They were just
Yeah,
completely
but
beautiful.
This was 1972.
Well, that was the height of the hippies.
Okay. And then, of course, the commercial was so successful, they got the new Seekers in the studio, re-recorded it, changed the words, took out the brand product placement, and it became a huge, huge, huge hit single.
I always assumed it was a song that they co-opted
I thought
into
so
an
too.
ad.
I thought it was the
First
other
song later.
That very rarely happens, doesn't it? Except for Barry Manilow songs.
Which, like, what?
Yes.
Well,
Like what?
Like what?
Well, Barry Manilow wrote jingles.
Yeah, that's all he did.
That's what he started.
He wrote the KFC. He wrote.
He wrote the "You deserve a break today.
Uh-huh.
We're close by, right on your way at McDonald's. We
I
do
thought-
it all for you."
He was a jingle writer.
Yeah,
That's where he started.
And don't you remember when we went to his concert and he does that whole thing where he does nothing but commercial songs, and everyone when they do the
Vinton
insurance
was high.
commercials, and he goes, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for tuning in to the Wow Report on Radio Andy Sirius XM. Listen to previous episodes on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents. And if you're feeling really extravagant, splash out on Wow Presents Plus.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Uh-oh. James
10 hits you didn't know were jingles first.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right, that could be a
this
future
kind of,
episode.
this kind of research is really helping us out here.
Oh, no, my phone
Well,
was
thanks for
Oh,
tuning
that
in.
was it. That was it. That's the tease.
Well, that,
No, but it won't.
Maybe that will be-
happening.
Any of this make air? Will the whole episode be on the cutting room floor this
Wait,
week?
wait, here we go.
Stay
Here we go.
tuned. It'll just be music, commercial,
technical
music,
difficulties.
commercial,
Yeah.
music.
Wait a minute, here we go. Oh,
All right.
Let's go. For
Yes.
Pepsi, My Adidas, Run DMC's My Adidas was first. Let's go Pepsi. Pop it. Let's go. Red Solo Cup was first. That was first commercial for the Red Solo Cups.
I wonder if our show's an hour and 5 minutes, or is this an hour? What do you think?
Forever by the Wrigley Double Mint song became a huge hit.
Yeah.
I must say this
I'm
show
just
feels
wondering, is it a
extra
65-minute show?
I
Or
think it-
Oh, come on,
Is
you
it a
guys. This is
60-minute
interesting.
show? I think-
Let's get it started. Was the Black Eyed Peas first started as a commercial,
For
and then
what?
it became
For what?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. That's what I'm trying. Originally, let's get it retarded.
I would think if this is the closing music theme, and we should probably sign off over.
I think
It was the NBA playoffs, is what the commercial was started for.
Yes.
I think this should be a
Yes, it
webisode.
was.
All right, we're going. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow. Bye.